Nator Shil Yachad Nuwabakedi Waloy Ma'urwo, the pledge of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. Ama Kakdemu Sefunut Hade Gedash Manuf, as I stand beneath our sacred and holy flag. Kanderu Ruki Maul Te Kehikano, Ama Kashgeru Zitaur. I vow to be loyal, obedient as I watch it fly. Ru Ganunwu Shil Manut Naonut Faref Nawus Weloinut, to the laws of our Constitution that govern our nations. Ru Hare Sabu Kahmelu Tubu Subhem, to this cause I hold my head up high. Akara Garur Kantero Ru Harus Hade Tahum, with pride I pledge to protect and defend. Kalu Akara Hare Walao Weloy Kalu Hanuf Hade Samur, all within this great nation, both family and friend. Ru Yankud Faref Karetkut Mu Adorhut Hagoyu, to ensure all has their equal rights. Ru Hare Sabu Kazur Gedu Atnachum, to this cause I will lay down my very life. Ama Kapdemu Tachuth Haresan Un Hade Gedash Danun, as I stand beneath this sacred and holy seal. Kanderu Nafusum Mewa Chelas Hade Kazut Menu Tiat Mewikanu Akara Khera, I vow myself loyal, sincere, and vow integrity with zeal. Check it, check it. You can hear me scratching my beard on that recording.
So sitting next to you, or sitting behind you or front, so sitting next to you, you might be sitting next to Black Devil.
It states in Psalms chapter 82 verse 6, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
This is the Elder Raziel with a message for the children of the Elohim. I walked a long journey on the short path, where after this mind expands math itself. Came through with the master teacher. Get wealth from what I have to teach you. Not a preacher, the Anunnaki created this creature, fully packed with features. NUWABU, knocking off leeches. Peace to Malachi, Ziyor, Noble Jew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Respect and pay homage from the Nuwabian tribe. We hope to see you. We still kicking the flows. All the girls know. Just listen to show so your mind grows toward a genetic explosion. X out whoever was chosen by deception to sell out Negro, the greatest destruction. Without question, knowledge is a weapon. Like Cain, ain't no half stepping to a greater direction. Rit Nalej Radio, and this is your boy, oh sorry, not Mudhuth anymore, Tutashuma Herakayu. Alright, let's get the mood right for today. Today is the Gregorian date of July 4th, Thursday 2024. Now if you like celebrating colonist holidays, then that's up to you. We ain't gonna say no happy 4th. There wasn't no happy 4th for us indigenous folks over here, so you won't hear that coming out my mouth. All right, but the most important date is the Nuwabic date. So we know this is year 83. I'm showing y'all on the screen right now, you know what I mean? And it is the month of Sakhmet, month 18, week 3, day 3 of Nunamnir. Nunamnir, his title was Enlil in the Sumerian scriptures. All right. We will start Of course, every show now with, oh, sorry, I'm trying to get the volumes right here. All right, so soothing for the Nuwabian ear. But first, we're going to start with the Manuth Bat. That is the all prayer. Then we start with the pledge, the Bu Natur. And then today is part 6 of reading of the 9 ball. And today we're going to read count 3 sections A and B. I think during some of these shows we will have book giveaways. I think that's a good idea for all the listeners out there to have a chance to win a free book. We'll talk about that later. that thought actually came to me right now. So, all right, let's get through this. The affirmation, which is called Nuwab Kedi Manuth Bat. Idim Kabderu Ashutwaswo Kelawo Kade Banzun Sendior Kebotemta. I begin all prayers and thinkings using all. While kum zahuba kebo adyurma edbi kebo timta. I'm in the divine love of all. Hade adyurma emne kela lemne wukum. And all divine love is in me. While kum faru gemne kebo timta. I am part of all. Hade kebo timta faru gedbi wukum. And the all is part of me. Wa kum ashed akara kebo timta. I am one with all. Hade kebo timta ashed akarakem. And the all is one with me. Ke kelu karwedetu kike faru gedbi kebo timta. I can succeed as part of all. Hade rohu kike faru demne. And fail as an individual. Kekelu kahweseo. Kelu feraf kakfezu kebo temta. I can accomplish all that I wish in all. Kike chafuzium ru apmod kebo temta. As long as my wish is to remain in all. Sorry. While kum dulach asherafet. I am never alone. Kebo timta haklenu kaklenu. The all exists, I exist. Kebo timta hekelu kekelu. The all can, I can. Kebo timta habelu kabelu. The all does, I do. All right, let's move on to the pledge of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. Kike Kabgemul Tachuth Manuf Net Temne Ferah Sefan Hade Gedash. As I stand beneath our sacred and holy flag, Kanderu I Mawila Hade. Hold on, this one's kind of hard for me. Im yakeku. Kike kan zerezu z dot eru. I vow to be loyal, obedient as I watch it fly. Bu ganun wu edbi. Monub naunet faraf dot feru waloinet. To the laws of our constitution that governs our nation. Ruhare sabubemne zahmelu tubus yum hem. To this cause I hold my head up high. Garuremne zanteru ruharos have tahum. With pride I pledge to protect and defend. Kalulemne akara hare weloyemne welawemne kalu hanufedya hade samuredya. All within this great nation, both family and friend. Ru yankud feraf kalulemne, hagoye hetemne, mu aldu hetemne, to ensure all has their equal rights. Ruhare sabubemne, kazur gedu, atnuhemne, no, atnuhumemne, huerta. To this cause I will lay down my very life. Kike kapgemu tachuth hare dadunemne sefanemne hade gedashemne. As I stand beneath the sacred and holy seal, kandero itmawila ib matoy hade kazuth menu itawi it tamiwa akara agera. I vow to be loyal, sincere, and value integrity with zeal. Sorry, I'm struggling on these a little bit, but it's all necessary to get to perfection. So now we get to the 9 ball, our favorite part of the day and the favorite part of this broadcast. All right. So like I said earlier, the 9 ball count 3, we're going to read through A and B. And I hope through this whole reading series, those who are intelligent, highbrow, those who can know the Larcraft. And Larcraft, I found out, is science in English. Well, I guess they call it Old English, but the language that we speak in right now is a Creole English. It's not even a pure language. So that's why I kind of go back and I look at the English terms. Now I don't want to take a detour. Actually, yes, let's take a quick detour, y'all, to the internet. If I can, yes. I need to show you guys this. Because we always hear about the master teacher talking about, I'm trying to switch. I don't know why. We hear the master teacher talking about, go to an old English dictionary real quick. I don't know why it will not. Here we go. All right, and we're gonna type, this is a Bosworth Toller's Anglo-Saxon, which is really Old English, right? Okay. Looking for the word spell. So I don't know why, you know what? Speaking. Well, I'm trying to get to the spell. A spell is a story. Moorian. This is Moorian spell. Moorian. You know, that's actually mourning. And I rather say Moorian than mourning, because mourning means somebody died. And the saying came up because people were dying in England around Queen Elizabeth's time. So they would say, you know, people who were in pain and going through their mourning, they would say, good morning, right? Good morning. That means that people were suffering because some plague hit England, I guess, in the 17th century. And that's why they say good morning. Well, I don't want you to have a good morning. I want you to have a good Morian. Now, Morian, I'm talking about just English now. It means going past daybreak, right? Or past the dawn, past the dawn, right? When the sun first appears, right? That's Morian up till noon, right? So Morian. I know it's a G here, but I guess in Old English they pronounce the G as a Y. So Morian. So English people in England don't even speak this now. They don't speak their own language. They're wannabe French, wannabe Latin, wannabe Greeks, everything but themselves, right? so, so I don't know what to call it there. I'm gonna let you guys call it. But let's get back to what this show is about. You know what I'm saying? Those are for Moors who like language, you know, like etymology, like our master teacher. You know what I'm saying? So very important that we learn to speak our language, and we learn the origins of other languages. Like I just took you guys to the Bosworth Taller Dictionary to look up an Old English word, right? Because they done messed up their language so bad. Man, this echo is killing me. They done messed up their language so bad that they don't even know where words came from. I could look at their old English dictionary better than they can. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you want to get. If we have to speak English, we want to know it better than the Caucasoid does. So when we get into arguments or teaching differences, we have something to combat them with. Our culture, NUWABU, is really studying not only ourselves, but studying the enemy. And if we learn Old English, because their language is kind of garbled up, right? If you go to court, they're going to start speaking Latin terms. You know, and a good legal argument would be, well, are we speaking Latin or are we speaking English? Because coeptus, odonis, and those are not English words. Those are Latin words, right? So I think it's very important that people think about language and the lack of purity of language, right? So we speak a Creole dialect tongue. But anyway, we're going to read count 3 of the 9 ball, parts A and B. I'm sorry about the rant, but let's because the master teacher in this segment is going to start talking about the circle of space, matter, and time, which I'm still learning, you know what I mean? So this is a lifetime of learning. I probably won't stop learning until I pass into the spiritual realm permanent. Well, hopefully permanent, right? So, inshallah. Ruin. So, let's get into the introduction of 3. 3 ether meaning ghost, right? So, count 3, section A, introduction of 3. 1. The digit 3, like all other digits, can represent many things that have many meanings. For example, 3 can represent space, matter, time, liquids, solids, and gases, sun, moon, and earth, male, female, and neuter genders, 9 ether, 6 ether, and ghosts, etc. But where the Caucasian race is concerned, it means Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and 333% of the perfect 1,000. 333% of 1,000 is the Caucasian's race limit of mentality for original man. It is 666. And for the Ethiopians, it is 999. 2. In this booklet, we Ethiopian scientists shall deal with 3 as it pertains to the Caucasian race, sometimes called white people or the white race. White is a fair description of that race because ghost is white. Therefore, the white race is the posterity of ghost. Ghost is 3 among the conscious gases. Excuse me. Because it appears on the circle of time at the position of 3, which is at the bottom here, right? We can see that on the circle. Notice this drawn circle. So let's take a second to focus on this. This is the wheel of space. This is the wheel of time and existence. That is, time and the many changes that time produces in matter exists in a circle, right? Because we look at, see, the Caucasian looks at time. Well, actually, even the Greeks looked at time as cycles, but in the old era of time, before the water sign, now we're in the air sign. I forget the exact zodiac, but zodiac is Greek. So they look at time as a linear thing, like something's here and it just gets better until the end of time. They don't think the universe goes in cycles like this. And it does go in cycles. Things live and die. They evolve, live and die, evolve, and knowledge gets passed on. But knowledge gets passed on in a perfect circle, in a cycle. Our galaxy rotates around a giant black hole, which other galaxies rotate around, and it's always in a cycle. You have winter, spring, summer, fall, cycles. We have the yearly equinox, cycles. 25,000 year equinoxes, cycles. Everything is in cycles upon cycles upon cycles. But the stupid Caucasian think it just goes in one line. Where do they get this stuff from? Did they just make it up? I think they just make it up. Like they did your slave history, black people. They just make it up. They freestyle it. All right, where was I here before I went off on my rant? All right, you guys always gonna get my thoughts and my commentary when I read this. So, and if you're still watching, please subscribe, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. All the hard work I put in here with the radio station. Okay, how we determine the right combination of numbers to use on the circle is that the digits must be single and consecutive and must add up to 9. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equals 72, and 7 plus 2 equals 9. And the digits must divide the circle into 12 equal parts like the zodiac, or like the dendera, forget the zodiac, because the digits 1 and 2 are left out in order, for the circle to add up to 9. A circle must add up to 9 because a perfect circle is 9 by nature, right? And within the 9, as see, there's a circle. The top part of the 9 is a circle, right? The other part hangs down, and it could be a reverse in polarity of the motion of the circle, because the motion of the circle goes counterclockwise, as we'll read right now. A circle must add up to 9 because a perfect circle is 9 by nature. Evolution starts at 6 on the left side of the circle of time and goes counterclockwise through 5 and 4 and ends in 3. So this is the evolution period. As I said, evolution starts at 6. So once it gets past the top half of the circle and starts to hit 6 and below, we're in the evolutionary time on the left side of the circle as the forces are pushing down from 9 ether, from the top half. All right, 6 pushes the circle down on the left side, and 9 pulls it up on the right, as you determine by this drawing, right? See, on the left circle here, this is showing the top left side because we're going counterclockwise, right? So you're showing it pulling down from here. So from here, once it hits 9, and now if y'all listening, I forgot each number from 9, 8, 7, 6. I think each number lasts like 18 million years. So we're actually living in a pretty interesting time, right? So as we come down from 9 ether during the height of the universe and existence, we come down to 6. So this is the top half. At this point here, now you're in an evolutionary period, which is going to last a couple 100 million years, right? So during this time, our ancestors still survive, which is beyond a miracle. There's probably not even a word for this, right? So we've gone through cycles like this before, especially if you follow the story of the Pleiadians and the Anunnaki, right? So the battle we're having on this planet with the Caucasoid, we've had battles with the Caucasoid on other planets. So take that into consideration, y'all. Okay, in time, we are now at the end of 3 on the circle, right? So we're actually here, the end of 3. And Nubian forces 9 are beginning to pull us Nubians up by mind and time, right? Nubians, Nuwabians. The bottom half of the circle of time is 6. So this whole bottom of the half is 6. Remember the evolutionary period. And the top half of the circle is 9, the living. So we are now headed back toward the living in mind, and our physical activities will follow. So we're not in 9 yet. We're existing in a time here. So let's take a look at this right circle. Now we see 9 on the top half of this circle, right? Because the forces are going up. This probably should have an arrow here, but the forces are going from 3. So the only place to go now is up. So we're going up. So we're living here in this time. 1970. This is it, man. We're living in very gracious times because we're starting to see things change, right? I won't use God and the devil, good or bad, but you were living in space, matter, and time in which the forces are just going through a revolutionary period, right? Because we're going back up toward 9, which is stronger etheric forces, and the most powerful gases, conscious gases, will mix within our anatomy. As we improve our mind state, we follow the teachings of NUWABU, right? Follow the teachings of our guide, the master teacher, Amadou Birakta, Dr. Malachi Z. York, that we're at the bottom here, we're at the end. We're at the end. And it's funny because he wrote this book, and now the title says 1971, so I guess it was 71. I thought it was 67. I heard through the word that it was 67. I'm not sure. So, and if anybody out there is watching this, let us know in the comment section. So the bottom half of the circle of time is 6, the dead. And the top half of the circle is 9, the living. So we are now headed back toward the living in mind, and our physical activities will follow, as spoken about earlier, right? You can't revolutionize physically until you revolutionize mentally, starting with you. 3, the position of the other digits around the circle are determined by 9. Because 9 being the highest digit, of course, its position must be at the top of the circle. Notice in this drawing that the digits 2 and 1 and the cipher 0 successfully reverse the rotation of the circle to a clockwise spin, which is the spin of chaos in space-time, in space matter time. Now, I don't know what exactly this is saying, because this is kind of deep, but it kind of looks like a backward 9 here, but it could also be informing an 8, like an infinity, right? So I'm not sure. But he's saying, notice in this drawing that the digits 2 and 1 and the cipher 0 successfully reverse the rotation of the circle to a clockwise spin, which is the spin of chaos in space, matter, and time. Because the normal, I'm gonna call it normal rotation is counterclockwise, right? Because we're going from 9 down. So this is counterclockwise for all my folks who didn't know that. So, So we go from 9 down to 3, right? But the top half, 6 and up, well, above 6 is 9, below 6 is, at 6 and below is evolutionary, the death cycle, you can call it. But it's all going in counterclockwise motion. And so he says when it gets down to here, 3, it kind of, I guess the reverse in polarity, those who are familiar with the wisdom of Tehuti, He's saying it falls off, right? So look at my hand here on the screen. It said it falls off this way and comes back and goes clockwise now, right? So I'm pretty interested to hear what the master teacher says next about this. He says, in other words, when the time comes that evolution degenerates matter below the strength of 3. All right, now let's keep that in mind. Evolution degenerates matter below the strength of 3. The cycle of the Caucasian race and ghost. The universe will then start breaking up and return to prime evil chaos. A counterclockwise rotation in space, matter, and time is order. That is a universe. Now that's pretty deep. The part I do have an understanding of is how it degenerates matter below the strength of 3. The universe will start breaking up. Now I don't know what exactly the phrase breaking up. You think of something just breaking up. You know, I've heard in the Caucasian lawcraft that in lawcraft this means science, right? So in their lawcraft, see, they don't even know that word. That's their own word. I love it. Okay, but within the lawcraft, they say that the universe is expanding, right? They say ever since what they're calling a Big Bang, it's just been expanding. Which could or could not be true. Like I said, it's a theory. A theory is not fact. They haven't gathered enough facts to make that true. Because sometimes the truth is based on one fact. Sometimes the truth is based on many facts that coalesce into one truth, right? Or many truths. But what I'm saying is they say everything in matter will just break apart. You know, we'll split apart into thousands of billions of cells. Is that what breaking up means? Or does this mean that another thing they said was that the universes will get so far apart from each other that will all just freeze? Now, those are all just theories. You know what I mean? Those are all just theories. So, let's go to 6 as things get more interesting here. Actually, 4. I'm sorry. I don't know why they have this 6 here. However, the main purpose for showing the circle of time and existence in this introduction is to demonstrate the position of 3 and reveal its identity in the world of the dead. The world of the dead in space, matter, and time is the bottom half of the circle. Note that 3 is at the very bottom of the circle, thereby marking the climax and end of evolution. Okay. 3 marks the end of the downward trend. Then the 9-force revolution in space, matter, and time sets in and pulls the circle upward. It takes 72 million years for a complete cycle of changes. That is, in 72 million years, the time circle of changes gets back to where it started and back to any given point in the circle. Okay, that answers my question from before. So if we go from 9 counterclockwise back to 9, that whole cycle is 72 million years. As spoken by Nuwabian. 5. Anything 6 and below on the circle of space, matter, and time is dead. The animal world cannot rise above 6. Original man can exist from 6 to 6 on the bottom part of the circle of time, and the moon cycle man. The Caucasian race can only exist in power at 3. 3 is the moon cycle, and it has a duration of 6,000 years. The Caucasian race, sometimes called the white race, is the perfection of evolution and the evolutionary forces. At the end of the cycle of ghosts, that is, the end of the cycle of God, the ghost in person of the Caucasian race. Evolution reverses, and the circle goes up again toward the highest standard of nature. In other words, After 3, 9 starts to resurrect the mental dead from the grave of ignorance. All right, now one interesting thing in count 3, verse 5, he says, at the end of the circle of ghosts, which is a circle of 3, that is the end of the cycle of God, the ghost in person of the Caucasian race. Now, when I read that, one man, one name came to mind, and that was W.D. Fard. Because that is Caucasian God, the ghost in person of the Caucasian race, right? Well, unfortunately, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad thought was Allah in the flesh, or God in the flesh. But that doesn't take away from the works of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We still love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because without the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, some of the prophecies that the master teacher performed could not have come to pass. So we give the Honorable Elijah Muhammad all praise. How to do, Kailola. How to do, Kailan. How to do, Kailan. Okay, so let's keep going. Verse 6. The Trinity referred to by the ancients and in mankind's religions are simply 9 ether, 6 ether, and ghosts. 9 ether in death is 6 ether, and 6 ether produces ghosts, the last stage of evolution in conscious gases. The basic 3 in Ethiopian culture is all space, all matter, and all time, right? I think the Sabians use that. All space, all matter, and all time, which goes back to space, matter, time, circle. Because these 3 existences comprise, constitute, and generate everything. Ghost, also called God and spelled with a capital G. Remember the book God, little g, big G, capital G, rest of the letters, lowercase, is the perfection of death. Because 6 ether is death, and ghost is the last stage of it, which means ghost is the apex or highest point of 6 ether. Ghost is conscious death gases. Ghost is conscious gases that have no sun heat genes left within its formula. Now that's very interesting, because if you think of a ghost, Casper the Friendly Ghost, he's just a spooky white gas. Not all gases are white. Some are yellow, some are black clouds. Those are black gases, right? So very interesting what our master teacher is talking about here today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a Nuwabian, you should be paying close attention to this. And for those new Nuwabians and Sabians, I know the Sabians and even Nuwabians do not tell people to read this book, which is a major mistake, and the recommendation of readings of what Amadou Rakhtar came out with, because this is the foundation of NUWABU. There's no way you could be a Nuwabian and say you haven't read this book. At least read the book. No way. There's just no way. This is where it all starts. This is where the master teacher's mission happened, to build a nation. What is that nation called? The United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. Now let's read on. Ghost is conscious gases that have no sun heat genes left within its formula. Thereby, it is white in color. Of course, white is the last stage of color, as ghost and its posterity, the Caucasian race, are the last stage of evolution. 7. 9 ether produces the Ethiopian race, and 9 ether, I wanted to make sure my mic levels are right. And 9 ether is life and grower of the universes, and thereby is the prime mover in original order. The Ethiopian race is the personification of the original creator called Ta. The P is actually silent. So 6 ether produces Phoenician, Indian, and Mongolian races, and these races are original man, the personification of the secondary creator called Ra. Now, let's stop there. Now, one problem I do have with the old book, this book, is that I hear the theory of evolution. in this book. Evolution, as far as man come from monkeys, like directly, this by nature, we just all transform from monkeys into man, which is false. That's why it's called the theory of evolution. So there's an error in this book there, and that the Phoenician, the Indian, Mongolian races all came from these monkeys is also false, right? And then we learned later on in the Supreme Mathematics books where these races came from. So there was a correction, you know what I mean? The personification of the secondary creator called Ra. I'm not sure about that because that's in our religion, Sheta Natior, that there's Ra, Re, Ra. So I don't know exactly what that means. Six ether is death, and the secondary creator, whose creation is the changes in original creation called evolution. Ghost produced the Caucasian race, and Ghost is the tertiary creator called God, whose posterity is the Caucasian race, and whose creation is the changes in nature which the Caucasian race produces. So I got something in my eye, I feel like. Okay, 8. Ghost and the Caucasian race are 3 in the sense that they exist on the circle at the number 3, and the Caucasian race's degree of intelligence is limited by his nature to 333 of the perfect number 1000. The Caucasian race is the moon cycle man, who was extracted ghost-side from the Phoenician and Indian races as a result of disobedience to the laws and commandments of the sun god. There's no difference between what the Caucasian Bible calls Holy Ghost and any other ghost. Ghost is the same in composition no matter where it is. Ghost is from the cave, the grave, the dead. See the booklets called Bible Interpretations, Explanations for further information. The Ethiopian race is 9 ether in flesh and blood, and therefore is 9. The Phoenician, Indian, and Mongolian races are 6 ether in flesh and blood, and thereby 6. The Caucasian race is ghost in flesh and blood, and is underworld, and is the underworld 3, and best wielder of the trident, the pitchfork of the devil. The underworld is the bottom half of the circle of space, matter, and time. Alright, I think that's self-explanatory. 9. The Caucasian race is a feminine race, meaning it is the female of the races. This is one reason why it is able to attract the other races by nature as thoroughly as it does. But the basic reason is necromancy, the power of the dead, which is the race by nature uses to spellbind and fascinate darker peoples of the earth. The dogma of Caucasian power of the dead is his and her various religions, including Christianity, the doctrine of the dead, and the practice of vampirism. The Negro preacher today is a hangover from slavery and a continued product of slavery because he was first made by the Caucasian during slavery for the purpose of protecting the slave master by keeping the slave pacified with gospel, which means ghost spell, so that the slave would not become violent against the slave master. Stop. Pause. Right there. Ghost spell, like we just looked up in the Old English, because if you look it up in their new Creole English dictionary, they're gonna tell you, oh, it's a magician that's casting spells. No, it's much more simpler than that. A spell is just a story. Because you got to understand, when you tell a story, I guess when you tell a spell, you're keeping somebody under a certain narrative. You're keeping them under the narrative. And another powerful thing in this sentence, talking about the Negro preacher, is that he was made. He said made. He said because he was first, capital A, made, meaning he was a creation of the Caucasoid themselves. It says the Negro preacher was made for the purpose of protecting the slave master by keeping the slave pacified with gospel, which means ghost spell. So when you hear Caucasians tell people, oh, he tells so-called black people who are really Moors and Nuwabians if they choose to be, that you have no history. He had the nerve to, because he's trying to keep the spell going. You know what I'm saying? He got to say that to keep the spell going. If he tells you the truth, the spell is broken. But I think it's so deep now within niggas and Negroes, whatever you're calling yourself today, that even if we tell the Negro the truth, his choice by his nature is to still become a slave, pay mortgage, have a car note, credit cards, and perpetually stay in debt. So he has nothing to give to his offspring. I don't even hang with brothers like that. That's why I hang with very few as the Afaru. In short, the Negro preacher is a product of slavery, a product. And his job is to keep woolly-haired folk or people non-violent against whites and dead to our own culture and way of life. The words Christ and ghost mean the same. So Christianity means ghostianity and Caucasianity, right? All right, there's some powerful stuff being said here. So count 3, verse 10. The Caucasian race is a monster called beast in his own spiritual book known as the Holy Bible. And this means the race has the nature of a beast, and it is empowered by spirit forces called dragon and serpent, who are also called Leviathan, and Leviathan produces ghost spirit. Now, they're going to say, oh, that's a racist statement. And it probably is. Just like the Caucasian has many racist statements that he calls every race across the planet. We're just saying it's a monster and a beast, right? We're not trying to go out and wipe you out and take your resources. Well, maybe the Moors did in Spain, but that's just of a rare incident, right? We're not doing that. What we're trying to do is come to an understanding of spiritual development. Like, why is the white or Caucasian race, why are they just kill with no thought, like no brain process? They just kill and kill and kill, right? And the master teacher said he's a killer by nature. Just like John 8:43, you're a murderer just like your father was. He's talking to the Romans, and the Romans are Caucasians. So even Yeshua HaMashiach says this, right? And we all know what he looked like in the book of Revelations, right? Skin of bronze, hair of wool. There could only be one race of people. So if you want to say it's racist, cool. But it's not hateful. It's not hateful. Everybody's prejudiced and racist. Everybody. I lived in Walnut, California, with a lot of mixture. You can call it multicultural, and people have been racist toward me. Of course, Caucasians have, Asians, Mexicans, Koreans, Chinese. Everybody's racist toward everybody. I don't care what nobody says, and I know this for a fact because I lived through it. And I don't blame nobody, because I was also racist toward people, right? But that happens when you live in a melting pot. That's why we shouldn't live in melting pots. We should all have our own nations. And if you've immigrated here, then you get your own neighborhoods, right? Not saying that the neighborhoods can't do business together, have cultural exchanges, even some mixing, but people gravitate to people who have the same genetics as them. It's an etheric cord on a lower level that pulls us toward each other. We're more familiar. They look like us. They speak the same languages as us. Things like that pull us together, So, where was I at? Most woolly-haired people are under the impression that a monster must be hideous and of huge individual stature. In many cases, the Caucasian defies this description and thereby deceives the Ethiopian to thinking that the Caucasian is not a monster from the cemetery. A good-looking monster can easily deceive most people whom he has taught that a monster must be ugly. Dracula isn't. 11. The root of the word Caucasian is the word carcass, and carcass is a corpse or dead body. Therefore, the name Caucasian tells us that the Caucasian race originated from the dead and the spirit of the dead called ghost, and ghost is God spelled with a capital G. Of course, the Caucasian race is white people because ghost is white. We also reiterate white people are ghost people because their spiritual origin is ghost, but their physical origin is the Phoenician and Indian races. Now, there is a theory that Caucasians came out of the Hindu people of Bharat. Bharat is what we're calling India, right? I don't know for sure. We again repeat for further information on this subject, see booklets known as Bible Interpretation and Explanation written by Amanubi Rakhta, one of the teachers of the scientists who wrote these booklets, The Nine Ball. 12. The Caucasian race is sometimes called the Aryan race, and the Aryans were the East Indian tribe. The Aryans are Iranians, right? One from which the Caucasian race was derived, and this is why the original language of the Caucasian race was Indo-European, meaning Indian language varied by European, that is Caucasian tongue and teeth. The Caucasian race is the personification of death, and this is why individuals of it kill innocent people and give it little thought. Like I was saying earlier, the booklets mentioned in the preceding paragraph will give you more details on the identity and purpose of the Caucasian race. All right, and I'm gonna take a break right there. Cardoza, the architect. Let my pen just glide. Dealing the cause, raising the stakes. Speed rhymes real slick. I see the oil, toil till my foes boil. No chicken for you. In botanical gardens, I'm making veggie soup. Forget what your homies say. What you think about that? And so-called rappers sound the same. Up to me, you come short. Or I'm pressing the board. You dress up for court. You forgot like Biden, so you better not bite it. Longer can chumps hide and let my pen just glide. With my blue collar, we off the chain, just like Rob Wallace. Don't crowd us while we doing our thing. You get dizzy sober, beats by busy Cardoza. I'm working with my blue collar, we off the chain, just like Rob Wallace. Don't crowd us while we doing our thing. You get busy sober, beats by busy Cardoza. If you want to move the house, ladies brands and blouses, pajama party go hard, spit bars ahead of turn us rappers into retards. Say what you say in 3 bars, can't get away too far. You wanna be star, put your ashes in the urn. Some folks never learn, so you wake and think, battling me, all ago extinct. Let the map you stink, right down the sink. You ignored the facts. Where's the wax it is recorded on? My word is bond, release lyrical arms. Better stay out of harm. I put work in with my blue collar. We off the chain, just like Rock Wallace. Don't crowd us while we doing our thing. You get dizzy sober, beats by busy Cardoza. I put work in with my blue collar. We off the chain, just like Rock Wallace. Yes, sir. While we doing our thing, you get dizzy sober, beats by busy Cardoza. Yes, busy sir. Cardoza yes, sir. On this one, y'all. Semu the architect. Semu the architect. Build the castle for Queen Hatshepsut. Busy Cardoza out of Phoenix, Arizona. You know, Semu spitting on there. And that's me. That's me. You know what I mean? So, let's get back to reading the 9 ball here, because this is a lot of powerful information. And now we're on count 3, section B. What do you guys think about what I'm reading here about NUWABU? Because this is all under the doctrine of NUWABU. I'm interested in getting some feedback. All right, but let's keep going here with the reading. All right, section B of count 3, verse 13. Of course, mind is creative matter, and 9 represents mind. Mind is the motivating matter in nature. Mind may be living at one time and dead at another time. Living mind is that which has more positive matter, active, than negative matter, and dead mind is vice versa. A living being's mind is its personal guide. A living being's mind is its personal control. To say a living being's mind is its personal guide and control is to say that a living being's mind is its personal God, to use a Caucasian power word. Show us a person who has a weak mind, and we will show you a person who has a weak God. The way to strengthen your mind is with 9 knowledge, the correct information. A person can be living physically and dead mentally, as in the case of a Negro. The word Negro means negative growth, which is another way of saying ignoramus. 9 mind grew the universes. The suns are 9 mind. Mind is the top half of the circle of space, matter, and time, and sex is the bottom half. 14. The 2 major powers that exist in the universes and in any living being are mind and sex. The 2 are opposites. Mind is the positive and sex is the negative. Mind is the motivator and sex is the activator. Now, I don't think he's talking about negative as far as bad. He's just talking about opposite polarity, right? Mind is the motivator and sex is the activator. Mind gives 1 knowledge or mental power, and sex gives 1 physical power. When the 2 powers are properly balanced in a living being in accord with its nature and position on the circle, that being will produce what is necessary for its survival and well-being. Right? It said that being who's properly balanced between mind in English is FERTH. So you hear me say that a lot of my rap songs, FERTH, right? It just means mind in English. We're trying to go back to the origins of that language. It says once you've balanced mind and sex, you've produced a well-balanced being that can provide what is necessary for its survival and well-being. Not just survival, but well-being. To me, the connotations of well-being would be like peace, harmony, right? And goodwill amongst yourself and other men. So let's keep reading. Mind represents life and sex represents death. Without mind, one would have no consciousness, no conscience, no sight, no feeling, no taste, no sense of smell, no sense of hearing, no sense of thought, no sense of reason. And when one does not possess these qualities and properties, that being is very dead. 15. Although sex reproduces life, it also represents death, because the more sex, the more life, and the more life, the more death. In other words, there cannot be an increase in death for any long duration unless there is first an increase in life. Life must precede death, because before there can be death, there must be life. Mind reminds one what to do to prolong life, and sex shortens life by making one physically weaker, especially the male. In the reproductive act of sex, the parents give part of their lives to the offspring. Sex causes increases in negative forces when it is exercised in an unnatural way or exercised in lust instead of necessity. Sex is sacred and it should be treated that way. By sacred, we mean it deserves the highest regard and best care possible because it produces our future. If it degenerate, our offspring will be degenerate. If it is corrupt, our future will be corrupt. If it is depraved, our offspring will be depraved. If we use it unnaturally, our offspring will be unnatural. 16. Sex also causes males and females to fuss, fight, and kill each other. Sex sometimes causes people to do incredible things. Many people connote the art of sex, but few, if any, connote the science of sex. The art of sex is knowing how to obtain the greatest ecstasy or pleasure from sex. But the science of sex is knowing how to obtain the least adverse results of the act. Did you hear that? Let's go back. Sex sometimes causes people to do incredible things. Fuss, fight, kill each other, right? Many people know the art of sex, but few can know the science of sex. The art of sex, knowing how to obtain the greatest ecstasy or pleasure from sex. But the science of sex is knowing how to obtain the least adverse results of the act. So if we go back to verse 15 here, sex is sacred because it produces our future. If it is degenerate, our offspring will be degenerate. Like you hear a lot of, this reminds me of some videos I've been watching with Moors down in Texas, and Atlanta's already known for this. Just getting freaky deaky all day long, and now you got all these sexual transmitted diseases spreading rampant in Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, probably other places too, but those are the two biggest places right now amongst black people. They're just out there having sex just to do it. So they're doing it. Maybe if you're in 6 ether mode, you're doing it natural for you, right? It's the depravity of it all. So let's see. Let's go back to verse 16. To put it another way, according to the law of the code of opposites, referred to the secret wisdom of Tehuti, right? Sooner or later, pleasure must be offset by pain. So the less pleasure one has, the less pain is required to offset it. Therefore, overuse, abuse, and misuse of sex by us who already have other race monkeys on our back add to the weight and the cross that we already carry. And that additional weight makes it, I thought it said something, makes it harder for us to liberate ourselves in various ways necessary, right? So basically, you got to have discipline and know the science of sex, right? Not just the art of sex, or even, well, I'm not going to say it. Okay, let's just go on to 17. Coition, sexual intercourse is normal and natural and is a source of pleasure and a source of reproduction, but a person can make him or herself a slave to sex by allowing it to become an obsession. Then the mind degenerates to animal level. Pornography, with the Caucasian vibe, pornography is a perfect example. And now black girls are imitating white girls in the OnlyFans and things like that. So they say it's because of the money, but no, they enjoy that because it's a choice that you make, right? So they enjoy it. The byproduct is the money. The primary reason is the sex, the pleasure of sex, and the constant pleasure of sex makes them actually probably lower than an animal, right? Animals always get a bad rap. Why do animals get a bad rap amongst caucasoids? I have no idea, but let's get through this because we've been at it for an hour and 5 minutes now, right? So let's keep it moving. Let's keep the information flowing. Notice that the Caucasian encouraged Negroes, their captives, to overindulge in sex because Caucasians know that unnecessary sex activities are more burdensome to those in captivity than those who are free, because those in captivity have no scapegoat but themselves to transfer their pains to. In the Caucasian's case, he and she have their captive, the Negro, to put their shortcomings and pains upon. Hence, Caucasians beat and brutalize Negroes in the streets and in jails and behind prison walls and whenever and wherever they feel they need a goat to bear their cross of pains and sufferings. So he's actually metaphorically comparing this cross that the Negro is carrying, because the way I interpret this verse is the Negro is already the captive. Not just the captive, the slave. There is a difference between being a captive and a slave, right? A captive will try to get free. A free man who's been captured is going to try to be free at all times of the day. There's no question. Slaves accept their position because they think something else is more superior, right? So he's saying that the Negro captive slave, when he goes through pain from having so much sex and reproducing maybe too much in that environment, he has no one to blame. But I would kind of argue this verse, he'll blame the Caucasian. He will go, it will go up. It'll transfer the pain up to like, look, you put me in this situation, fool. So now we're going to have what they call slave revolts, or just free. I don't call it slave revolt. I call it free men revolting against their captive or their captor. Right, that's how I look at it, but I do understand where Amanu Rahta was coming from with this, given the current state of the Negro, black, and the colored. So, but for the most part, it is black people who are carrying the cross, right? And actually, lately, it's been Asian people carrying the cross ever since COVID hit with Asian hate crimes, and I see Negroes committing crimes against Asians. Come on, man, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. We need to be working with Asians. We need to be working with ourselves first, and then ally with the Asians. That's stupid. That you're not a Caucasian. With black people trying to act like Caucasians, with the hate. If you want to go that route, cool. But when you hit the afterlife, you're gonna have to pay for living in the image of the beast, which is the Caucasian, right? That's the beast. That's the beast man. So you want to live in his. My music ain't coming out, is it? Oh, it is coming. Okay, my bad. Had the headphone volume too low. So if you want to live like that, cool. But trust me, the Asian man is not the source of your pain, brother. Come on, Nuwabian, Negro, black, and colored. Come on now. Come on. Can't you're so enslaved you can't even recognize who the enemy is anymore. That's sad. You're definitely not a Nuwabian thinking like that. Okay, 18. Another adverse result of sex is too many children. What happens if you can afford only 3 children, but you have 6? The answer is you must become dependent on someone to help you, and this keeps you in a form of mental and physical servitude, or your family goes destitute of sufficient food, clothing, shelter, and education with no relief in sight. And this kills the hopes of rising to greater heights in life. That's why I only got 1 kid now. Now I'm 44. I'm still looking to get married and have more children, but I had to handle my business first as being a provider. So that's why I bought land, built a house, so my children have something when I die. It's one of the greatest honors of a man is to be able to hand something down to his offspring when he dies, and it leaves part of a family legacy. And I'm seeing a lot of blacks, Negro, even Nuwabians, they have nothing to hand down. Nothing. I'm talking about physical goods, food, clothing, and shelter, like Amanu Rahta just said. You have nothing to hand down. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's a shame. All right. Then that family usually pines away in ignorance, idleness, and uselessness to self and own kind. What we need Ethiopian scientists are trying to make clear in this topic is this. In the normal course of nature, sexual urges will arise in male and female. It is natural for us to satisfy these urges, but unnatural for us to create these urges with alcoholic drinks, excessive thoughts on sex, and following other Caucasian means of letting sex rule us instead of our minds of reason. Now I think we can pretty much take that to the bank.
We can pretty much, especially with a lot of rap music. It's not hip hop. A lot of rap music. It sounds like you got grown men sounding like they sound. First of all, they sound retarded, and then second of all, they sound like they never even made it past 3rd grade. Right? So in the music industry, you actually see a lot of overindulgence in sex, Freemasonry, like Jay-Z. Jay-Z's accused of molesting Foxy Brown, Little Kim, and other females too, just like R. Kelly did. R. Kelly got abused when he was younger, but it's still no excuse for you to abuse Aaliyah and other girls that he was with. I'm still a fan of R. Kelly's music. I'm just not a fan of R. Kelly and what he did, right? But R. Kelly lived through a cycle of abuse. You know what I mean? So I do understand that, but I can't condone what he did as a man. You know, I could never do that as a Nuwabian who follows the Family Guy. So you just can't do these things. But the music industry, notice when it was under our control, late 70s, early 80s in New York, we're making the music. We owned it until the Caucasian corporations came in with the death and sex. And also they wanted to fill up prison systems, right? So they understand if they get to the young Moorish mind and they fill it with drugs, sex, rock and roll, whatever they want to call it, and he ain't got no father in house, so they worked with the government in combination to break up the Negro family. This is all by design. Nothing happens on accident. I'm going to tell you, Za'afarut, nothing happens on accident. These things were planned over generations too, to kill you and make you the slave forever. So back to what I was saying about the music industry, it's all sex, 100% sex and death. And as the teacher said, sex is a part of death because you're giving part of your DNA to your offspring. Really, but that DNA is happening through replication, so it may not be death, but you are giving a part of your source DNA to your offspring so they can begin their existence, right? Okay, let's read 19, which is our number, right? 9 and 19. Increase in 9 knowledge for us Ethiopians makes our minds the ruler over all activities, including sex, and that makes our road to liberation straighter, quicker, and easier. Control over our sex as a race is one of the keys to our liberation. And all the keys necessary to open the doors of our liberation are found and will be found in the booklets, the 9 ball, and also Bible interpretation and explanations written by Amanubi Rachta. Sex is a great power which will work in our favor if we do not abuse and misuse it. Of course, the other great power is our brain. We must train these 2 great powers to work together by nature for our liberation and well-being. Each race has a personal serpent, and that personal serpent is our reproductive organs, male and female. In short, mental strength is in brain and physical strength is in sex. We must learn how to coordinate these 2 great powers by learning and practicing the science called 9 knowledge. Actually, the science is called NUWABU, right? The 2 great powers, known as mind and sex, are our magnetic wand to power and success. Now, I have a little knowledge on this subject as far as brain. Brain is the processor. It's the processor, right? Your mind is the software. So the software controls the hardware. That's why they make software, to control hardware. I was in IT for 13 years. I was an engineer and a manager. I know these things. Software is even firmware that's loaded directly into the chipset controls hardware. Not the hardware don't control the software. Software control hardware. Software is your mind, your spirituality. Hardware is your brain. Now the software can be installed in any computer. I can transfer the software over here, right? So that means basically when you die, your mind is connected to the cosmic computer, right? And if you don't know that, start reading some scrolls. All right. 20. Since mind is the great natural powers and sex is the other, The right use of these powers in their proper conditions would give us captive people a magic wand to work with. A wand similar to a mankind's caduceus, which is a magic wand of the cross, representing the powers of the dead. Our magnetic wand would be the circle, as such represent the powers of the living. Magnetic power 9 is the power of the living, and magic power 6 is the power of the dead. The magic power of the dead. The key to natural power is coordinating and controlling mind and sex. All power is natural power, for there is no other existence but absolute nature and its products. The way to control mind is with 9 knowledge, and the way to control sex is with 9 mind. And this is the coordination of the two. Mind is controlled by 9 knowledge when the individual understands and practices 9 knowledge, and sex is controlled by 9 mind when it is not overused, misused, or abused. This accomplishment means individual power for the one who governs himself or herself this way, and liberation power for the Ethiopian race. Well said, our master teacher. Well said. Okay, we got this last verse and then we're gonna wrap it up. 21. A word to our Ethiopian females. Being the natural attraction for the male, you are in a position to compel him to be a success. Don't worry, some morenas are doing that, but they're doing it in such a horrible way. It makes the man unmotivated. The male's desire to mate with a female who attracts him is a driving power which the female can direct towards achievement by refusing to let the male copulate until he shows a degree of success, or at least he demonstrates his determination and ability to succeed in life. Basically, so-called black women need to stop letting dudes just run up in them. Stop letting Tyrone run up in you. Right? Stop letting them run up in you with no benefit to yourself. And we don't mean, I seen one video, some girl down south. This never happens on the West Coast because brothers on the West don't do this. We're players out there. So, I mean, there's good men too, there's normal men, but there's a lot of players on the West Coast. I guess somewhere in Georgia, a man and a woman went on a date. And when the man shows up, she got there early. Man shows up, she brought all of her kids with her. Like, you got to pay for all these. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. wait a minute. And so he played it off, and then he went to the bathroom and he just left. He does. I mean, what else do you expect the brother to do? But however, a man with a female who's worthy should. This is where Kevin Samuels comes in. I love the brother Kevin Samuels. You got to show that you can make it in life. No one's asking to be a billionaire. You know, women want to go toward the most powerful men, especially single women. That's natural. That's why the king has more than one woman. Every woman wants the king. Like, damn, every woman wanted Dr. York. I mean, let's keep it real. So that's natural. And we call it hoeflation. All these hoes want the same dude. They want the guy making 6-7 figures. You know, even women who are like 50 something, which they know that's not. I don't know what wonderland they live in, but that's not going to happen. Let's read on. But if the female allows the male to make love to her whenever he desires, he usually gets lazy because he may find no particular reason why he should work so hard for success, since his female does not seem to care if he succeeds or not. Some black women, I'm just gonna call it out, black women, all they care is about the ding-a-ling. Some of them only care about the ding-a-ling. So as long as they get the ding-a-ling, they let the dude do whatever he wants. Cool. Okay. Too much sex makes people lazy and less able to do their best thinking and reasoning. Ethiopian queens require your Ethiopian male to be a natural provider as well as a natural lover. Taking heed to this paragraph is one thing our Ethiopian females can do for Ethiopian liberation and well-being. This note to Ethiopian males: make sure your female is African or Moorish minded and she keeps, or Nuwabian minded and keeps her hair natural and woolly and is dedicated to help in our fight for Ethiopian liberation and well-being mentally and physically. Okay, we will conclude our reading there, and then next time we'll read the next two sections. But I think this is a lot of information to intake. And so please leave your comments, good or bad, subscribe, hit that thumb notification so we can get the algorithm increased. I know I never usually ask for it, but they say to ask for it to increase the channel subscription and the viewers. So if you want to support Nuwabians, support this national radio show, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. All right, that'll do it for today. I'm so glad you guys were able to join us, and we hope you come back again for the rest of the readings and for a lifetime. All right, Wadu.
Or sitting behind you or front, so sitting next to you. You might be sitting next to Black Devil.
It states in Psalms chapter 82 verse 6, I have saved ye a God, and all of you are children of the Most High.
This is the Elder Raziel with a message for the children of the Elohim. I walked a long journey on the short path, grafted this non-mind, this mind expands math itself. Came through with the master teacher. Get wealth from what I have to teach you. Not a preacher, the Anunnaki created this creature, fully packed with features. NUWABU, knocking off leeches. Peace to Malachi, Ziyor, Noble Jew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Respect and pay homage from the Nuwabian tribe. We hope to see you. We still kicking the flows. All the girls know. Just list the show so your mind grows toward a genetic explosion. X out whoever was chosen by deception to sell out Negro, the greatest destruction. Without question, knowledge is a weapon. Like Cain, ain't no half stepping to a greater direction.